sincere, you get reward for saying tawbah, for doing tawbah. So not only is your record clean, but you get brownie points, you get good deeds. Except for once the sign of the last day has appeared, one of the major signs. If one of these signs appear, there is no more returning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Dajjal is one of the major signs. I think it was important to just contextualize where we're at. So the Dajjal is one of the major signs of the Day of Judgment, and he's the most significant sign of one of the most significant signs of the Day of Judgment, and he's one of the biggest fitna to be faced by the people. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us in a hadith recorded in Sahih Muslim that between the creation of Adam alayhi salam and the coming of the last hour, there will arise no matter more serious than the Dajjal. There is no matter more serious, more difficult, more treacherous for the believers than the coming of the Dajjal. And he said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that every prophet has warned against the Dajjal, the coming of the Dajjal to his people, because of the turmoil and the fitna that the Dajjal will create. So every prophet has spoken of the Dajjal. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that I have given you an additional information, which is from the mercy of your Lord. And I tell you that he is the one-eyed monster, he's the one-eyed beast. So the additional information given to our beloved sallallahu alayhi wasallam is about the one-eyed, and we will come to this in a little bit, inshallah. So there are a few signs which will happen immediately before the appearance of the Dajjal. And these are recorded in a hadith, so we'll go through that very quickly. He said there will be 3 hard years before the Dajjal appears. So the 3 hard years, during them, people will be stricken with great famine. In the first year, Allah will command the sky to withhold 1/3 of its rain, and the earth to withhold 1/3 of its produce. In the second year, Allah will command for the sky to withhold 2/3, and the earth to withhold 2/3. And in the third year, Allah will command for there to be no rain and for there to be no produce on the earth. So there will be a huge, devastating famine. Year by year, there will be less rain and there will be less produce for people to eat upon. Until there will be no plants that will grow, and all the animals with hooves, the animals that you eat, they will all perish, except for 1 or 2 whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills. So when the Sahaba heard this, they said, Ya Rasulullah, what will sustain the people during that time? Look at the Sahaba radiallahu anhu. The Prophet is telling them about something, and they're being practical. They're being concerned about the people. How are they going to survive? What are they going to eat? What are they going to drink? They're not being selfish and they're not being inward. They're thinking about humanity. What's going to happen to the people? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, the tahleel, the takbir and the tahmeed will sustain them, just like food and drink sustains us. So saying La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar and Alhamdulillah will keep them alive by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there will be a few fitna that will happen, a few signs that will happen before the coming of the Dajjal. And one of these signs also is the coming of the Imam Mehdi. Our scholars, the scholars of Ahl Sunnah, say that Imam Mehdi will come and he will be recognized before the coming of the Dajjal. And inshallah, Shaykh Abdullah Hassan will speak a little bit more about Imam Mehdi and Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. You know, the Dajjal is alive. He's already here. He's already here in this world, in this earth. There was a Sahaba radiallahu anhu named Tamim ad-Dari, and he was a Christian, and he became a Muslim. And it is narrated that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam made the muazzin give the adhan. Now the adhan had a couple of purposes. One is to call people to prayer, another one is call people for an important announcement. When there was a call for jihad or there was an emergency, a crisis, then the adhan was given. And the people came, and then the Prophet ﷺ said, I haven't called you because I fear of anything or have any hope from you. I have called you because there is a man, Tamim ad-Dari, he has become Muslim, and he's narrated a story which is the same story that I narrated to you. And so then Tamim ad-Dari told us what happened. Basically, 30 of them were in a boat and they went out on this boat, and the sea overtook them, and they were tossed and turned in the sea for 30 days until one sunset they were at this island. And in this island they got was this beast, and this beast said, they said, who are you? What are you? And the beast said, I am a spy, but the man that you want to see is in that monastery, in that church. Go and see him. So they got scared and they ran and they went up to the monastery. And when they got to the monastery, they saw this beast. And the beast said, who are you? And they said, we are people from Arabia, and we've come, and this is how we ended up in this island of yours. So the beast said, tell me. They said, who? You tell us who you are. No, he said, no, let me ask you a few questions. And so the questions were asked, and he asked these questions. Tell me about the trees of Baisran. Do they bear fruit? So a tree, Baisran, do they bear fruit? And they said, yes, they bear fruit. And then he was asked, tell me about the lake of Tiberias. Is there a lot of water? He said, yes, it's full of water. So the beast said, soon the water will disappear. He then asked, tell me about the fountain of Zubara. Does it give water to the people, and can the people use it? And Tamim al-Dari said, yes, the people can use it. He said, soon the people will not be able to use it. He said, tell me about the illiterate prophet. Has he been sent? What does he do? So Tamim al-Dari said he's come from Makkah to Yathrib, and the Arabs fought him, and some of them accepted him, and he's now ruling over Yathrib. And then the beast said, as for me, I am certainly the Antichrist. I am certainly the Masih Dajjal. And it is near that an order will be passed, and I shall come out. And I shall come out, and I shall travel the world, and there won't be a village that I will not enter into except for Makkah and At-Taibah. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, at that point, he had a staff, a stick that he used to have whenever he did the khutbah. He hit his staff and he said, verily, this is At-Taibah, this is Medina, Medina is At-Taibah. So we know that Dajjal is already, and then he actually, at the end of it, he pointed to the east and he said, verily, he is in Syria. He's in an island in Syria, or beyond Syria, or beyond Yemen. He's actually in the east. So the Dajjal already is in existence. He's already here. He's locked up, chained up. The hadith where Tamim al-Dari went to see mentions that he was chained across his chest, across his arms, and across his knees. When the time comes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will instruct him to be free, and he will come. And the purpose of the Dajjal is to create fitna. The purpose of the Dajjal is to confuse you, is to tell you the falsehood and portray it as the truth, and to portray the truth as falsehood. He's got a physical appearance. He'll be a youngish man. He'll be fat, and he'll be quite wheatish in color, like a grey, dead color. And he'll be broad-chested, and he'll have teeth that are like fangs, biting teeth. His hair will be disheveled and curly, and he will have the letters Ka, Fa and Ra across his forehead, which spells Kafir or Kufr. And this will be known by all the believers. They will see and they will know it. Those believers who are sincere in their belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will have a shiny forehead, and he will have a defect in both of his eyes. There are various narrations. One narration says that he's blind in the right eye. Another narration says that he'll have a grape, like a grape looping on his left eye. So the scholars have said that he will definitely be blind on his right eye, and he will have a grape like thing on his left eye. Yeah, so his eye will be hanging like that. So he's the one-eyed imposter. Basically, he will walk very, very fast, and he will be very, very, he will have no children. And he will come when the Muslims conquer Constantinople, which is Istanbul at the moment. Istanbul will be conquered again by the enemies of Islam, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then the Muslims will conquer Constantinople again. And how will they conquer it? They will go to the gates of Constantinople, and they will shout out Allahu Akbar, and then they will be defeated simply by the declaration of the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is when the Dajjal will emerge. Now the warriors who have fought, who've gone to fight in Constantinople, somebody will say to them, the Dajjal has appeared, the Dajjal has appeared, he's going to destroy your families. So they will go to combat the Dajjal. But that will be misinformation. However, by the time they get to Syria, the Dajjal would have appeared. And he would be accompanied by, he'll be riding like a, it's described as a white donkey, but you know, Allahu Alam. And 70 of the Jews of Isfahan will be, according to the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, 70,000 Jews of the Isfahan tribe will follow him, and they will have hoods on their heads. Interestingly enough, he will be accompanied by the jinn, and he will be accompanied by magicians. So the Dajjal, he will have two angels by his side, and these angels, two angels that resemble the prophets by his side. And one of the angels will say, the Dajjal will say to the angels, "Am I not your Lord? Am I not God? Am I not Allah?" And the angel will say, "You are a liar." But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not enable the people to hear that angel speak. Okay? The angel will say, "You are a liar." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not allow us to hear that angel speak. The other angel will say, "You are indeed speaking the truth." Speaking to the angel, you angel are speaking the truth. But to us, we have not heard the words of the first angel. We will think that the angel is speaking to the Dajjal and saying, "You are speaking the truth." And this is one of his treachery and his deception. And a lot of people will say, "Oh my God, two prophets are bearing witness to the truth, to this person being God. The prophets never lie, must be God." And a lot of people will be deceived by that very fact, and they will follow them. And the Dajjal will do many, many things. He'll have 40 days to go around the world, and it will be lightning fast. It's described in the hadith as jumping from cloud to cloud. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him the ability to perform many, many miraculous things. So for example, he will go and there will be sheep and goats and animals that are skinny, that are dying, that their bones are on the floor. He will indicate to them and they will come alive, full of meat, full of milk, in great health. And the people will see this and think that this is somebody who's guided by God. How can he perform such actions if he's not guided by God? He will go to the person who's blind and do something and he will be able to see. He will go to the person who's dead and he will resurrect them and they'll come alive. And all of these things he will do, and he will deceive people, because these are miraculous things. These are things that no human being can do. These are something that only a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can do. So how is it that the Dajjal is doing it? A lot of people will be deceived, except for the true believers, because we know that the Dajjal will come. We know what he looks like. We know his abilities. And so I'll have to, inshallah, there are a lot more that we can talk about, and maybe Brother Abdullah can cover some of this, and we can have some time in the question and answer to mention the rest. But how do we? There's a story of one of the men of our ummah, and we don't know his name because his name isn't mentioned in the hadith. And this man, the Dajjal will come to him and he will say to him, "I am your Lord, do you believe in me?" And the man will say, "No, I do not believe that you are my Lord. My Lord is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." And there will be a crowd next to him, near him. And he'll say, "If I chop you up," and the Dajjal is doing this also for the other people that are around him, "If I chop you into two and bring you back to life, you then believe that I am your Lord." The man said, "Do what you will." So he chopped him up. And then he brought him back to life again. And all the people around him were almost swayed into belief in the Dajjal. And the man will say, "I never believed in you before you did this, and now I am absolutely certain that you're an imposter. Because my Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that there will be an imposter like this, and he will do these actions. And if I see him, that I should not follow him, and therefore I reject you." Dajjal will have two streams flowing from him. On his right hand side, he will have the fire, and on his right hand side, he will have the fire, and on his left hand side, he will have water. So the man jumps into the fire, And the Prophet ﷺ said, if you see the Dajjal, jump into his fire because it is water. And if you jump into his water, it will be really you're jumping into the fire. We'll speak a little bit more during the question and answer in terms of how we can seek refuge from the Dajjal and what we should do in order to seek protection from him. I think that's enough.